comic book friends, I'm Travis, and it's New Comic Book Day, or at least New Comic Book Day for me. And a little bit of smattering of What the Fugue thrown in, just because I feel like talk about some other stuff besides just comics, so who knows how long this video will roll. Start with some of the What the Fugue stuff. Nothing in particular new going on with me in my comic book world, necessarily, but a piece of news that I kind of wanted to talk about. It got announced yesterday, I believe, that Fox has bought a large minority share, not sure exactly how you're supposed to interpret that part of it, in Boom Studios. And a large portion of what that means is Fox Studios will get first movie rights and TV rights, first looks at the stuff produced from Boom Studios. In one way, that sounds awesome. Great for those creators who have worked hard in comics. If somebody wants to reproduce their work in a movie or TV fashion, hopefully they've got good contracts in place that they're going to make some good money. So they make decent money on their idea and can go about making awesome comic books and not be concerned so much about starving to death. So maybe they can do the art over the consumer part of what comic books can be about. So that's really cool. The other side of that, and I know we've talked about it, quite a bit off and on over the years, or at least I have with some of you, some of my comic book friends, about does that lend itself more and more to people writing scripts with the intent that they get picked up as a movie or TV show, and the artists become more and more glorified, or not glorified in this case being comic books, storyboarders, as opposed to it actually being art and it being artist. Are we, do we get a dip in art to get the crank out the mass production to, because it's really about other entertainment. So, I mean, it makes sense in one way. I know that there's some other smaller independent companies that have themselves either they have their own part of the company that just has to do with looking into getting themselves getting their ideas sold to these other to these other types of entertainment, and I know that there are some that have agreements with particular studios, or studio houses to have first looks to produce their stuff and whatnot. But I just don't know. I love comic books, and I love smart comic books. And when I say smart, I don't necessarily mean brainy, but just there's so much that goes into making a comic book. That panel layout, the way the scene is set, and all that kind of stuff, all that magic, that I sometimes worry between digital comics, making comics just for digital, for the one panel at a time, one panel at a time view, and them being reduced to being storyboarders would be unfortunate. I mean, one of the storyboarders I can think of off the top of my head is Gabriel Hardman. He does the art and story on like Invisible Republic right now is the big thing. He's done some Planet of the Apes stuff in the past. I think he's right now kind of he's actually doing some freelance work. I know he's been doing like some Star Trek stuff and whatnot. But he does storyboards. He did the storyboards for the last Logan movie. But there's a huge difference. I mean, he will, if you follow him, you pay attention to him, you watch people have discussions around the whole storyboarding versus comic books. They're two completely different monsters. One, storyboarding establishes shots, but it's not telling the story. Whereas the art in the comic book is telling the story. It's what's telling the story. The writer, puts in some dialogue, and that moves things along too, and whatnot. But really, the art is what sets generally is what always sets the story and sets the scene and does everything for you, moves you from point A to point B to point Z. And I just wonder, if these people buying, selling off shares to stuff that, it makes sense. Like I said, it makes sense that, that have the representation. I just worry that they'll start, if that's where the money's at, that they'll just start hiring for that, because they now have this. Maybe it's not so much of, now I'm thinking about it, maybe it's not so much of an in, it's got somebody that is going to do first looks and whatnot. So somebody's somewhat interested, but it's not like there's a guarantee they have to ever produce anything that the Boom Studio did, right? And if they have first looks at it and turn it down, then it can go somewhere else. Hollywood's a weird thing, and I don't know a lot about it, so I won't even begin to try and talk about how long it can set it first looks before somebody else gets a shot at it or whatever. But anyway, that's it. That's my What the Fugue thing. Let's talk some comic books, right? This week I got my old pile of books here. It is 21 issues plus a trade. The trade I got was Pop Gun War. This is Chain Letter. This trade basically, Emily, it's our main character here. She is, stuck in a small town. Their van broke down. She is the lead singer guitarist for a band that she is in. Emily is, I want to say, probably like 11 or 12. Maybe she's 13. I don't think she's that old, though. Maybe she's 8. She's young. She goes on a walk just to kind of kill some time, and she discovers this place where there's these 3 video screens, and they are telling stories of her present, past, and future. I believe probably most of this book was in the was serialized in Brandon Graham's Island book. I really like the Pop Gun War world. It's just a really kind of a curious place. It's kind of trippy. It's not grounded in reality. Weird, strange stuff happens. I mean, in the first Pop Gun War, this is the second trade. This is Chain Letter. The first one, The Gift, it's about, I think, Emily's cousin. He finds this angel. This angel has cut his wings off, and thrown them in the garbage, and takes his bicycle and rides off. And so he takes the wings and uses them. He puts them on his back, and he can fly, and has some odd adventures and whatnot, and has a friend pet goldfish and stuff like that. And so this one has to do with the neighborhood too. It has all kinds of stuff going on. There's a spaceman that comes down. It's just got some really great stuff in it. Some great storytelling. Some trippy stuff going on. There's a lot of panels for you. Bragging about the 9-page grid, or 9-panel grid. There's what is that? 4 by 24 page. 24 panel grid. So yeah, but by Farley Farrell Darmple. Yeah, I can never say the guy's name. I know he does like the wrenchies too. I need to get that at some point. But anyway, excited for this. Excited to check this out. Even like I said, even if most of it was in that stuff, I have most of those island issues. Definitely read this part of it. It'll be great to read it all together. So excited about getting that. Anyway, on to my 21 other books. One of the bigger weeks, clearly. Get that stuff out of the way. What do we got? Bug, issue number 2. Looking forward to checking it out for the great Alred art. I don't know about the story. The first issue I enjoyed, but was pretty dicey as far as being kind of trippy and somewhat obscure. And I'm not sure, is there really a story here? But the Alred art, and when I say Alred art, I mean Mike Allred and Laura Allred on colors. Just will be great. So it'll be fun for that. It's a mini series. I think it's 5 issues, maybe it's 6 issues. So I'll ride along for the art on that and just the kind of goofiness that it is. But I don't expect to get like some solid concrete kind of a story out of it. Whereas like Doom Patrol is goofy and has weird stuff, but ultimately we're getting to, we get to points in it. So far, granted, only 1 issue. I'm not sure Bug's going to. So, Detective Comics 958. So this is a new story arc, obviously. Intelligence Part 1. No idea exactly what's going to go on in it. I don't know whose bloody hand that is down there. Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking it out. Curious the team they've got on there, Azrael, and stuff. So we'll see exactly what kind of story we get. I have been enjoying Detective Comics. It has been fun. So curious to see what's going on. I keep hearing from the writer, Tinian the Fourth, that some point here, I think in November-ish, which probably coincides in some way with the whole Superman Doom Clock, malarkey, that Tim is back. I'm not excited by that. I'm not a Tim fan. The fact that he's not dead, but he might as well be as far as everybody's concerned makes me as happy as could all be. But having him back, yeah. So another issue of Hulk issue number 7. As you know, anybody who watched the Roundtable last month when Hulk came out, I was pretty harsh on it. I was not enjoying it, and I would have dropped it right there. I'm not ordering it anymore. I haven't done my order for this month yet. I'll read this issue because I have it, but it's at the bottom of my pile, and we'll see. I don't know. Can this turn it around? Because issue 6 should have been this kind of super, it was at the apex of everything, and it really, yeah. I'm not really digging the new look, this new look of the Hulk where she's gray and then has these weird, stripes of green on her. I'm not really digging that either. So, yeah. Ms. Marvel, issue number 19. I believe we are starting a new arc here. No idea what that's going to be like. Looks like a different artist on the book, so we'll see what that's going to be like too. And see if it picks up. I'm not as excited by Ms. Marvel lately, so I'm hoping we're going to get back into some exciting stuff, get into some fun and stuff that I can sink my teeth into. The whole right around the election and some of the kind of vote issues of this, just kind of everything kind of tumbled there. And I don't know that that's necessarily the creator's fault completely. It's also here in the United States, the climate of how the election went down from my perspective and all that kind of stuff just kind of has helped that book tumble. And the whole virus thing, the last arc, didn't really interest me a whole lot. So, yeah. And here we get a new Superman. This is the Zero Ultimum. Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this. I really, really enjoy New Superman. Empire Evil, it says on there. It's just been a really fun book. Issue number 12. So we're at a year for this now because this has been a monthly book. Just really been enjoying it. It's got its own kind of thing. It's got some fun. It's got some good storytelling in it. It's got some great art in it. It's just been a real joy. I hear the artist has changed, though. A tan. Philip Tan's doing the cover. A different tan. I remember discussing with somebody else. I think it was Sleepy Reader 666, a different tan on the inside. So we'll see how that part plays out. But as far as a character, a new character, kind of a new take on this kind of China trying to create their own version of the Justice League on Superman, on Batman, on Wonder Woman kind of stuff is fun and interesting. Excuse me while I take a drink of my tea. Good stuff. Next up, Red Hood and the Outlaws, issue number 11. Coming up on a year of this. Excited to see what goes on there. We got a Rockcraft cover. Kind of brings us full circle in a way because I think he was the original artist on the Red Hood and the Outlaws for the New 52. So we'll see how this all plays out with the Bizarro attempting to move a mountain because he's got some people that he's trying to save. Red Hood is dealing with the baggage of the fact that he's basically ground zero from where he was murdered by the Joker. And of course, Artemis is, hooked up with her old friend that she kind of killed at one point, but has been resurrected. See how that all squares away in the Who is Artemis story. Superwoman. So Superwoman, Steel Schism. So Perkins is the new writer on the book. We're gonna give it a few more issues and see where it goes. I really liked Jim Hernandez, his take on Superwoman when he introduced her in the first place. I do like the character. I like the way she looks. So we'll see how this goes. This is rediscovery. She is wearing this suit. that gives her superpowers now, as opposed to her being kind of a, whereas her powers originally were kind of a bleed off of this whole stuff that went on with this Superman Reborn stuff, and the kind of splintering that happened there when the New 52 Superman died. Some of his energy was in her for a while, and she was using that. But now she's got this suit that was enhancing those powers, that was made by Steel's niece. But when she puts the suit on, the suit still thinks she has those powers and gives her those powers. So I'm assuming we're going to explore that further. So we'll see what that all ends up being like. And see whether I'm going to keep getting it. It being one of the $4 DC books now. So, Wonder Woman, Godwatch issue number 24. This is it. This is I believe the last, issue 24 is the last of the older, of the modern story. No, I don't want to call it the modern story. This is the last, because they've all gone modern now. This is the last of the, not sure how I want to, you know what? I guess maybe this story is more confusing in that sense. I know that this is the last part of the Godwatch half of this, where they're bringing out, with the stuff with Cheetah, bringing this girl back or not from this kind of dimension that's in between Olympus and Themyscira and the real world. Wonder Woman's clash with the Doctor here. I think this is our last issue of the Blisk Everly art, which is a shame. I hope they put her on something else soon, because she's an amazing artist, especially when she inks herself. So I'm looking forward to it. I've really been enjoying this Wonder Woman. Curious to see what comes after this, but I've really, really been enjoying this Wonder Woman. Visually, really stunning storytelling. So, next up we have Birthright, the one fantasy novel I've been hanging with as far as fantasy books go. Issue number 25. So looks like we're gonna get a big old brawl between Mikey, potentially Mikey's wife, mother of his soon-to-be child, and the mage, who we also find out was the daughter of the evil guy from the other dimension. So curious to see what all happens. Issue 25 should be some crazy stuff, I believe. So looking forward to that. Bitch Planet triple feature. So this is issue number 1. This is basically kind of other people writing in the sandbox, telling stories, not just writing, telling stories in the sandbox of the Bitch Planet world. So it's, Kelly C. It's DeConnick and Delandro present Bitch Planet triple feature. In this one, we've got 3 stories. We've got Windows, Without and Within, and Invisible Woman. And these are all told by different people, different artists and stuff. So looking forward to checking it out. Because I am curious to see what other people can do in this kind of world, this exploit, near dark future, quasi sci-fi-ish kind of a thing, and see what they do with it. So I'm looking forward to checking that out and seeing what the larger Bitch Planet world might be like. I have no idea exactly. It's DeConnick and Delandro's world. How much control do they have over the story? Like, if something's written and they don't think it vibes right, do they tell them, nope, you can't do that, you gotta do something different? Not sure. So next up we have World Reader issue number 3. I've been really enjoying this book. I think it's really curious and really interesting. This telepathic woman who can kind of see the past of these dead worlds. We found out that all they're finding is dead worlds. These are people from Earth. The military half of it that's going along with this thing is they're not telling the people on Earth that they're finding all these other civilizations, because they're all dead, and they're trying to figure out what's killing all these civilizations, and is Earth on that list to be killed at some point. Whereas we have this one character that no one really believes that she has this like psychic ability to kind of tap into the world and kind of see what was there and what was happening. And it seems to be the person that's been killing these civilizations, that psychic link, he they can see him and or see her and potentially coming after her. So really interesting. Art by Juan Doe. Juan Doe is doing a ton of art. I see that. Oh, hey, let's turn that off. I see that he's listed as being. There's another Aftershocks comic book coming out with I can't remember who is writing it now. But it's another Aftershocks comic, a completely new one. It's Cullen Bunn, I believe, and it's called The Dark Ark. It's kind of a story. My understanding is basically, the Light Ark. God came and collected all the pleasant animals and people and stuff like that, and put them in an ark when it rained for 40 days and 40 nights, and saved them all. But there was another ark that scooped up all the icky and horrible things, I guess. Kind of thing, and he's supposed to art that. So this Juan Doe is doing this book. He's doing American Monster and that book at least, and he's does the one shots for the Animosity. So how's he doing that many books? Is he that fast, or do each of these books get put on hold while he goes and does it? And can they not find other artists to do some of the work? I like his work fine, but I didn't think he was that great. So those are kind of strange. Anyway, a new book I'm going to try out, Winnebago Graveyard. This is issue number 1 from, of course, Image Comics. This is Niles is the writer on it. Niles writes lots of horror stuff, off and on. Steve Niles. Some of his stuff's hit and miss for me as far as that goes, so checking that out. Art by Allison Sampson, with the color art by Stephanie Patro. Of course, the cover colors are Jody Balleri. That's why you get that awesome look to them. But I don't know. I think the art inside looks... Well, let's try and find a page that's not quite so graphic. So yeah, get them on a road trip with their Winnebago Graveyard. It looks like they across the Great American Journey kind of thing. Looks like they go to some carnivals or some fun houses and whatnot. So yeah, I'm just curious to see what it's going to be. It's another horror comic. There seems to be a lot of horror type comics out right now. So I'm okay with that. I'm not a huge horror comic fan, but I do like it, especially if it's a good story. I like supernatural stories. For me, I don't necessarily call that horror, but I like supernatural stories. So, and lots of horror kind of ventures into the supernatural aspects. So I dig that. There's some cool art on the back. It's a full kind of a wraparound. See, so if it's got witches, that falls a little more to the supernatural. I know like Call of Cthulhu is horror, but I always feel like I always call it, for me, it falls more into the supernatural kind of thing, as opposed to, I guess for me, lots of horror has been diluted by the chainsaw wielding, machete wielding, that sort of stuff, which I'm not particularly interested in as far as horror goes. So this kind of horror I do like, so I'm happy that there's more books like that, I guess. Black Mass book that I actually really like. There's Nothing There. This is issue number 2. I've really been digging the art. Love the trippy head trip stuff that goes on in it. Our main character is this kind of would-be model, would-be actress. I think is probably more famous for her social media stuff, maybe. Kardashian-like, but not Kardashian, and is the antics they get into, but that whole kind of media buzz around her. She was at this place where a bunch of dilettantes were at. Some sort of weird magic orgy was going on that most people are unaware of. She is experiencing some of the bleed off of that, whatever happened there, as she's going about her business. So she is seeming dead people, ghosts, and that sort of stuff. Last issue ended with her best friend and the kind of the maid / her handler at her house, debating whether or not they're going to open the door because somebody was ringing the doorbell. Nobody rings the doorbell unless it's the pizza guy. None of them order pizza. They're not sure what's up with that. They open the door. It seems to be a little girl there, so we'll see what goes on with it. But really liked, like I said, really dug the first issue of it. So looking forward to issue number 2. Another issue number 2, The Damned, by good old Cullen Bunn and Brian Hurt and Bill Crabtree. Ill-Gotten, this one's called. Looking forward to this. I need to go pick up the trade of the first volume of The Damned. I've been told by some people, Eric in particular from Longbox Review, that it kind of fills in the background before this to help cement this setting. It's basically the Prohibition, just after Prohibition era, I believe, time. You've got your typical mobsters and that sort of stuff, but a lot of that stuff is actually run by the Damned, and only special people can see the Damned. One of the main characters in particular can see who everybody is. I don't believe he is a demon himself, but he makes lots of deals or attempts to not make deals with them. So we'll see kind of what happens. I love the vibe of it. Great art in it. Just some really, really fun stuff. Love seeing Brian Hurt back on a regular book. So it's pretty cool. And then we've got Regression, another Cullen Bunn book, with Danny Luckert doing the art on this. The first issue was incredibly gory. It is basically full-on body horror in that there's flies and there's pouring out of people and worms and maggots and all kinds of nasty stuff, and a person gets just butchered at the end of filleted. At the end of the first issue, seemingly the main character may have done it because they went to a hypnotist to get hypnotized because they've got all these kind of anxiety issues and all this kind of stuff going on, and they go into what's called regression therapy, where supposedly you draw back your past lives. They're hanging you up somewhere, and in the process of doing that, they seem to have pulled up at one time in his past life he was a serial killer potentially, or there was a serial killer attached to him in some way. But at any rate, so now maybe he's possessed by that. So we'll see what happens in that going forward. What kind of craziness that ends up being. American Gods. This is issue number 4. Really been digging the TV show. Love these covers. These David Mack covers are just really gorgeous. I'm kind of looking forward to this issue because I think that Colleen Dorian actually does the art in it. So I may actually read this issue. I actually skipped the last issue because I just really feel like Scott Hampton's art is so damn static that it's like reading a picture book, and if I'm going to read the book, I'll read the book. So I don't want to read a picture book of American Gods. Colleen Dorian, I think maybe Scott Hampton did the breakdown, so that may still be a problem as far as the art goes being static. But I'm hoping not, because Colleen Dorian, I know, has the ability to do storytelling, visually storytelling. So I may actually check this issue out. I'll go at the bottom of my pile because I'm really not excited about picking it up for Disembodied Voice. She's the one that's actually interested in it. And sometimes you buy comics for other people because that's the smart thing to do. So, yeah. So here we are. Helena Crash. This is issue number 4, final issue. Really been digging it. It's just, there she is. She's just awesome. Here's our two people she's kind of stuck between there. Just been a whole hell of a lot of fun. Coffee is outlawed. She's battling these people. She's kind of a runner that runs stuff. She's an ex-car racer. Helena Crash, because she got in some wild crashes while she was a race car driver. She swings a big old crazy sword. She's just really cool. So I'm looking forward to this. And I'm hoping that it's sold well enough that maybe these guys have an idea for more Helena Crash stories on the road, because I would certainly pick them up. I've just been a lot of fun. Boom Studios, Grass Kings, issue number 4. I was going to say number 3, but number 4. Curious to see how this works out. This guy is choking out this guy with a bottle of hooch there. I've been really enjoying this. We're getting more kind of into the heads of some of the characters in the grasslands where the Grass King is in charge. Because I don't know how much he's in charge. He's kind of a basket case. and the girl that he's kind of rescued out of the lake has a whole bunch of ties to across the lake, the outside world that wants to influence and kind of jack them up and stuff. So curious about that. And Boom Studios, does that mean it's Boom Studios? Does that mean this is on a short list to be looked at now to be a TV show or a movie? I could certainly see it being a TV show. It has the modern day elements that would make for interesting TV show, I believe. I will continue to read it in comic book form. Another Boom Studio book, Godshaper, issue number 3. I did not really enjoy issue number 2. We'll see how issue number 3 comes out. I do like the art. Man, I love that cover. I love the colors in that cover. I love the dynamics of that. But story-wise, have not been really that entertained by it. We'll see. It's a miniseries, so I will finish it up just because I'm this far into it. But, yeah, was not really excited by issue 2. That'll go at the bottom of my pile of things before I ever get around to talking about it. Copperhead, issue number 14. This has been a lot of fun. I don't know, this cover, are we meeting the murderer of the last mayor? You know, what's going on with her and Boo, who's now the sheriff, is now the mayor. Is there going to be a conflict there or not a conflict there? Of course, the old ex-husband's showing up, the ex-boyfriend's there, kind of hassling our sheriff right now. Lots of fun stuff. Copperhead has been good. And the art is getting stronger, it seems like, with each issue with this new artist that's on the book. And finally, this time around, it is Black Cloud, issue number 3. Still not exactly sure what's going on in the book. I like elements of it enough to keep reading it. I love Greg Hinkle's artwork on it for sure. Matt Wilson's colors, of course, just make anybody's art stronger. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, there's a lot of time was spent on one aspect in the last issue that I'm not sure how that's all going to play out. How important was that versus, the other aspects of it where we get more kind of an idea of, who our main character is and why and how she can do this whole dream thing and whatnot. We find out that there's a whole potentially feudal system or something in the kind of dream world, and we'll see how that all works out. Hopefully in this issue will give us a little more of that. For me, Black Cloud right now isn't a super strong book, but I enjoy it. I like the idea of it, and I like the ideas of it, and the art holds it up enough for me to keep reading to see if somewhere it gains a little more cohesion or whatever. But anyway, I've gone a half an hour, it looks like now. God, I don't know if anybody watches it this far, but I want to tell all the fellas out there, happy Father's Day this weekend. Father's Day, I will actually be, I'm going to see Tool. I've never seen them live. A huge fan, been a fan for a very, very long time. My daughter is also a really big Tool fan, which is a lot of fun for me that she likes the big and heavy stuff. So we're going to that. That's what I'll be doing on Father's Day. But anyway, have a happy Father's Day. If you're a father, share your love of comics with your kids. If they're not into comics, find something else to engage them with. Engagement is more important than anything else. Just being there and being in their lives. Anyway, have a great one, everybody. And maybe we'll see you on the Comic Book Roundtable.